Hello, coming to you from the top of Haybrook Lookout. About 1,000 feet elevation, beautiful mountains in the range of the Cascades. It's a great location up here off of Highway 2 in between Monroe and Leavenworth. God bless you all as you are hearing this today on a Thursday night. No cameraman, just me. So forgive the shakiness or the bad volume. I'm coming to you from Haybrook Lookout, 1,000 feet elevation. I think it's like 900 and something to be exact, but almost 1,000 feet elevational climb. And it's early in the morning. I think I got here about 9:31. Took me about 50 minutes to get up this mountain. Pretty quick for, pretty quick hike. But I did it after having had a really bad 2 days. My health, all of you know, I've lived with poor health since my mid-30s. They told me, I remember the doctor, they brought me in and they told me my body was that of a 70-year-old. That's not what you want to hear when you're in your 30s. Listen, I played hard and I worked hard, but I played even harder. And let me tell you, when you play hard, there's a price to pay. So I don't cry or complain to people. A lot of this is my own doing. My eating habits back then, my my poor exercise routines, not managing my heart, not taking serious what happens after years of abuse of your body. And then some of it's just poor genetics. I have, unfortunately, a bad ticker. The vascular system's just not in my genes, as they say. But see, that's just 10% of the life, right? Because 90% of it is what we do with it. In the last few days, I'm going to get real with you. I could barely get out of bed for 2 days. I haven't been able to move. My blood pressure dropped drastically. They don't know why. No one ever seems to really know anything. Remember, doctors are practicing medicine. That's what it legally says, that they are licensed to practice medicine. It doesn't say they know medicine or that they have the answers, just that they're practicing. And it's a guessing game at the end of the day. I know a few of you out there that are doctors are going to be upset by me saying that, but at the end of the day, it is a guessing game. Now, you see enough patients with the same problem, you can guess pretty much like, okay, this is what you need to do to fix it. But it's still practicing medicine because your body is not the same as the 200 people that were before you that had the exact same condition. So when they can't give me answers, I only know one thing to do, and that's fight. And so when the body says I want to shut down, I say, oh no, I can't. And I got up and I soloed Haybrook Lookout, which is a beautiful place. A beautiful place if you haven't been up here before. Do it. There's a fire watch tower on the very top of the mountain that I'm coming from. Above me, you can actually rent the room that's above me. It's an enclosed open spot that you can rent and take family and friends and enjoy a nice night up in the mountains here. But I'm coming to you because I wanted to seek God for my church. Apparently someone else has been trying to seek me. but I wanted to seek God for TCI for 2022. And I spend, as you know, those that know me, I spend December in reflection of the year and then in looking forward to the next year. So it's kind of a transition. The first half of December, I'm looking back, trying to analyze what we did, where we started, what goals we set, what goals we made, where we failed, how we came up short. How can we overcome that? Do we need to continue on that path or change course in a totally different direction? And so as I do that, as I'm coming today from the top of this mountain, and it's probably not easy to see, but in the distance, as you can see where my finger's pointing, and maybe you might get a glimpse of it there depending on the lighting, but there's ice and snow and glaciers up on top of these mountains, right? And it's cold and it's desolate in some respects. And then it's also filled with life and vibrant with other aspects. So it's weird how the same mountaintop can be two different things. Barren of people, barren of noise, but filled with life and filled with noise, just noises you're not used to. And so we can look at the same mountain and see two different things. And I think of Moses as he climbed his mountain. You know, Moses went up to the mountaintop, and he went up there to seek God's face because he had all these hundreds of thousands of people following him in the wilderness. And he's starting to question himself like, hey, man, I wonder where I'm going. Now, there's a whole nother message to be preached on wandering in the wilderness, and that's not what this is about. What it is about seeking the divine intentions for your life. What are they? What is the great architect of the universe have planned for us in 2022? I'll be laying out the blueprint in January, and I'm excited. I'll be working for the next few weeks with our leadership team to put it all together. But there's a lot of exciting things happening at TCI. This church is on the brink in 2022 of opening up and running some beautiful facilities that are going to help change some lives. I can't get too much into it because we're not there yet, and I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse. But I just want to let people know that God has a plan for you in this year. And if we're not looking for it, we're going to miss it. Opportunities come every day. But if you're not looking for it, they'll blow right by you. I was walking up this mountain. Forgive the sniffles and the runny nose. It's cold and windy. But I was walking up the mountain, and I stopped. And it was dead silent, other than the wind blowing through the trees. And at that moment, I could hear God. And I stopped and I listened and I said, yes, Lord, I'm listening. And it was the most beautiful sound of, and I say angelic, but it was the wind blowing through the trees. I could feel the hand of the great architect just coming across my face. I could see the clouds like her hand roaring in through the canyon as it funnels through here from the east to the west. And I could feel the love that the great architect has for all of us. You see, God loves everyone. He doesn't care if you're black or white. She doesn't care if you're gay or straight. These are things you and me fight over. These are things that our forefathers have embedded into us in some religions and some faiths and what have you. But here's the God honest truth. God cares about the intentions of your heart. The man, and I repeat, the only man in the Bible that God said was a man after his own heart was a guy named David. You all heard the story. David and Goliath, a little boy kills the giant, becomes king of Israel, the most notable king, they say. Some would say Solomon and David, but most agree that David, and most scholars agree that David was the most notable king of Israel. Why is it he's the only one? Why wouldn't Paul be the only man in the Bible after God's own heart? I mean, he wrote the majority of the New Testament, right? Huh, interesting. Instead, he picked a shepherd boy who was a murderer, who had 100 and some odd wives, who had concubines, who murdered men, women, and children, all in the name of God. I could go on. It's a pretty bad list if you actually line item it out. If you want to do it, go do it someday. Take a line item of every single act that is recorded in the Old Testament of King David. And when you're done, you're going to go, okay, either God's completely an idiot, or how am I missing this? Here's what I learned about David as a boy. David always repented. Now, the word repent scares people because they don't want to hear the word sin. Well, I don't want to be called a sinner. All that sinning means is I missed the mark. If I tried to climb this mountain in 45 minutes, and today I did it, I think it was in 51, let's call it 55 for sure. So in 55 minutes, I was trying to do it in 45, and I did not do it. So I missed my mark, which means I sinned. So stop being so afraid of the word sin. It's no biggie. And people, stop using it to abuse people and to control them. You missed the mark. So David would miss the mark, okay? And when he realized he would miss the mark, that's when David would turn from his way. So in other words, I'm marching this way, and all of a sudden I realize, oh, this isn't the path to where I'm going. I have missed the mark. So I turn course, and I find the new direction, and I march that way. Why do we do this? That's what David did. And that, in my opinion, is because he humbled himself before God. He humbled himself before his people. He humbled himself. Are you humbling yourself? Do you humble yourself before God, before your people, your leadership team? Are they serving you, or are you serving them? I have a leadership style that has been embedded in me since I was a boy, and it's lead by servanthood. So leadership through servanthood. And such an exciting time as now is to serve people as you lead them. I promise you what, people always ask me, how do you get such fanatical friends? And I ask, what do you mean by fanatical? And they mean they are fiercely loyal to you. They would give their life. For years I didn't understand it, so I just BS'd them. I'm a heck of a guy. At least that's what I said then. But at 46, I heard a person tell me they'd never had someone be so loyal to them first. They always expected you to give to them, and then they'll give to you. But one of my favorite mentors, Dr. Schuler, said to me, give first. Be the first to give. And then, with no expectation of receiving, you will be blessed. What an amazing point to be made. Serve your people. TCI, we're here to serve. We had a member of the church in our leadership team needed to move. Both the husband and wife, or the couple, were not able to do much because of their physical situation at the moment. So we showed up to serve. Not to take money, but to serve. Because that's what Christ did. You see, there's a story where Christ washed the feet of his disciples. Yes, he washed their feet. And there's a very powerful and spiritual thing that happens when you wash someone's feet. You see, back in the days when the Christ walked, you had sandals. So your feet became very dirty. So it was very common when you came into a home, which usually had a dirt floor anyways, that you actually were to wash your feet, to clean them. And there's a spiritual significance, and I'm not going to get into that message. I just need you to hear this. That there's a process that we go through in serving, in taking our team and sacrificing for them. That's how you get people to follow you. Now, some of us have had those talents built in us. And I say built in us, meaning that we were raised around people who built those traits in us. I didn't come out of the womb and went, bing, hey, I'm a leader. Follow me, babe. That's not how it worked. I came out just like you. And that's it. You had to either be raised or trained in the ways of leadership. But some of us, and some people I've met, they're just natural born leaders. And unfortunately, I was a natural born leader. And I say unfortunately because, I'll be honest, in the first portion of my life, the first 20 years of it, was a very violent life. Because I was naturally talented at being a leader, and people followed me. I ran my own gang at 12 and a half to 13. How does a teenage boy run a gang of grown men? It's a tricky thing. But you had to have leadership skills. They had to at least look at you and say, this guy's got something we don't got. What was it? And back then I was dangerous and I didn't know that. And I've done a lot of things in my life that I regret. One of them was back when I was a teenage boy. We were in a ghetto, and it was ours. That was our hood. Nobody could touch it. We had guys to the front, all the way to the back. We had scouts. We had lookouts. We had shooters. So we were safe where we were, so we thought. Somebody got through, and a friend of mine saw the window coming down and a shotgun coming out. I thought that I was going to go this way, and then my friend would jump this way, we'd be okay, but he actually went this way because he saw that they were shooting at me, and he died. And that death has haunted me my whole life. I ask myself, had I not been that bad leader, would that young man be alive today? What would he have done? Was he the one who could have found the cure for cancer? I'll never know. Because of my leadership. As ruthless as it was, cost a person their life. And that is a lesson that I pray you never have to experience. But it is one that I have not allowed to just fall to the wayside. I used it to change my ways, to humble myself, so that I could accomplish the goals at being a better leader and making sure that I don't hurt people in the process. 2022 is a year filled with a lot of obstacles, but with a lot of excitement. We are looking for launching something that is exciting, and we're going to talk about it in a few weeks, and I know I've been teasing everybody, but we're excited about it. It's going to start off small, and we'll see where it goes. But I can tell you this, everything that we try to do will fall. It will fail unless we can be humble, unless we can serve those around us. If you're a leader and your people are serving you, that's okay, as long as you're serving them first. As long as you're serving them the most. Give. Don't hold it back. I'm not telling you to not amass your fortune. Amass your fortune. I hope you do. I want you to become wealthy. I want you to become financially secure so that you can help others do the same thing. I want you to become secure in your relationships. I want you to become that pillar in the community so that you can be that guy, that gal, that person who people look to when the wind blows and the earth shakes. Because the wind blows and the earth shakes. But it doesn't faze me. Does it faze you? Sometimes I get scared. It's very rare. But when it does happen, I center myself. I take a deep breath. I prostrate myself before God. And I just say, God, help me. I'm just a poor soul trying to find the path. So I humble myself. And I try to pretend that I don't know everything. Because as humans, we know everything. God, that's the hardest part of it. We know everything. Listen, you're talking to a guy who's got an IQ that's through the roof. I can't even begin to tell you. I have to wake up and tell myself every day, you know nothing. Because if I think that I know it all, then I usually find the wrong path. But if I stay humble and each day I try to learn something new and I humble myself, and that's not an easy act to be humble. It's not. A good friend of mine, Chuck, he's a very humble man. He escorted Billy Graham to the crusade one time here in Washington. A real funny story, I'll tell you another time. But this man has been in great presences. He has been around men and women who have been some very important figures. You wouldn't know it. Another dear friend of mine is a retired Rear Admiral from the Navy. The current medical system that the Navy has in place was created by him back a long time ago, many decades ago. He's in his, like I said, 90s now. Did you know that this man advised not one, but 3 presidents of the United States on medicine and how to take care of not just the president, but oversee all of the Navy's medical needs? This guy created it. I was his friend for over 10 years, and I never knew he was a Rear Admiral. I knew he was in the Navy because he had a Navy flag in his house in the yard. I've been in his home countless times to take him to meetings. I never knew until I'm at a meeting, and I'm the chaplain praying over the meeting, and they're introducing this guy, and I'm thinking, yeah, who is this guy? He's been the counselor to presidents? And all of a sudden they say his name, and I look right next to me. I'm like, what? Who are? What? He never bragged. He said, I don't care who they're presidents. They're a man just like you and me. They put their pants on. They make their mistakes. They go ahead and cheat on their taxes, on their wives. They swear. They do whatever it is they're going to do, just as every other guy does and every other gal does. He says they're humans. And this man was so humble. I then said, you got to show me. So when I got to his house next, he takes me in this little closet. And in that closet was all the stuff that he had for his presidents that he had served. So humility is what helped that guy get to where he was at. So as you go into 2022, you guys be thinking about being humble, thinking about making sure that we're not arrogant, making sure that you humble yourself. And if you have a hard time learning to humble yourself, just give me a call. I can help you out. I've been humbled enough in my life. I love you guys. God loves you. You know the drill. Live positive. But when you're out there this week living positive, let's live a humble, positive life. God bless.